Hello, and welcome to a demonstration of using Radia Patch Manager to distribute Linux patches. In this demonstration, we will be using Redhat Linux 7.9 server, and we will be acquiring the security advisory 4276 for 2020. This is an important kernel security update. So using Radia Patch Manager, we can then take this security advisory and we can create a Radia patch service to distribute it to our Linux group. Using Radia Patch Manager, we need to create this custom XML file. We need to also download the content from this Red Hat security advisory and place it on our local Radia server so that we can acquire that content. And so what I've done is I've already created our XML file and downloaded the content so that we can acquire this and build our Radia patch service. Within Radia, we have what we call a custom bulletin. So we create these custom bulletins based on a template. Right? So we have RHS8 templates. So here is the custom bulletin that we are going to use to acquire and package the security advisory. If we open it up, we can see XML file is very simple. There's not a lot here. We have the product name. This is the distribution we're going to be patching. And here is the RPM file that we will be distributing. And the rest is details that will be captured, and we can view those details through our console. The content that we will be acquiring has been placed here into our packages folder for the distribution 7 server. Using our console, we can then acquire this content and build our Radia patch service. In our patch management section, we have a preferences section where we can select the Linux distribution that we're going to be acquiring. In this case, it is Red Hat. And we can now select the distribution 7 server. And we are choosing not to publish package dependencies at this time. And so that means that the dependencies must exist on that endpoint or the package will fail. So in this demonstration, we are doing a very simple kernel update that is not going to require any dependencies. As we see, I've already run a test here showing how if a dependency does not exist, it will fail, and we can see that in the reporting once we get to that point. We have now created an acquisition job, and we can see here that this is actually not the correct bulletin ID. As I was going to use my batch file here, this is what we're going to use, but I'm going to change the value so it is correct here in the console as well. That was for my previous test. And here in the acquisition job, we also have publish package dependencies set to no. And now we can select anything we want to exclude, which of course we do not, because this is the Linux distribution that we want to patch. So in the Operations tab, we can now come and we can start the acquisition, but I'm not going to run it here. I'm not going to submit it in the console. I'm going to run it as an administrator might through Radia, running this batch file here. And this just gives us the opportunity to view the acquisition in real time, watch the content being acquired, identify any errors that may occur during the acquisition process, and it will also give us a nice visual of when it's complete and how many bulletins and packages have been acquired. And it only takes a minute or two here when we are acquiring Red Hat content. So here we can already see it's finding the package that we want to acquire into our CSDB editor. So once this completes, we will have a new service in Radia that we can then assign in policy and distribute to the Radia, the Linux Red Hat systems. So here we have the bulletins 1, patches 1. And so now if we come into our Radia CSDB editor, we have a patch management domain, and we can refresh. And we should be able to find our new Red Hat service. And so I had already done one previously, so we should have 2 now. And here it is. Here's the one I did previously, and here is the one that we just acquired. So now we have a Radia patch service that we can distribute to our Linux systems. And we can use the internal policy. This is a policy that we can now assign to all of our users. I'm going to use a base instance for my Linux group. And I have already assigned a service here, but this service had failed because there were dependencies that were required, and we can see that in a minute once we show connections and assign our new service. So I'm going to unassign this service here. And we previously have run some inventory reporting on here. We also have some inventory scanning on Linux systems. And here's the new service that we just created that we are now going to try and patch the Red Hat Linux system. So let's log into our Red Hat machine and run a Radia patch connect to see if we can distribute this and patch this system. And actually, let's go ahead and do something. I don't want to patch it right away. So first thing I want to do is I want to run a scan. And I want to show the applicability before I actually patch it. So let's go ahead and remove both Red Hat instances. And so here I have in my Radia agent sample folder, I have a couple of scripts. One will run an inventory connect. This one is going to run our patch connect. And so let's go ahead and run our patch management scan. And this is going to scan the system, and it's going to report on any of the bulletins that we have created and have acquired into a Radia patch service. So let's go into reporting. Let's go into our device status report. Let's go start from the beginning. So here's our Red Hat systems. We have 2 applicable bulletins, and we have 2 that are not patched. And so here is the bulletin that we are going to now assign in policy. You can see this is at risk here. And so now we can assign this service in policy, and the next time this machine connects up, we'll install this patch. So let's bring up our CSDB editor so that we can go into our policy and assign it and distribute it. So we'll come back into users, come back into our base instance, come into our Linux instance, show connections, into our patch management, and we want to find our custom Red Hat patch service 4276. So now we have a signed in policy, so any Linux system that comes in that's a Red Hat Linux 7.9 and is vulnerable should now install this patch. So now we're going to run our scan again. And now we are delivering the patch to the system and installing that patch. So we are now in the managed phase of our process, and the patch is being installed. And is now complete. So now we can go into the reporting and check the status of this bulletin 4276. Let's go from the beginning. And we can see that we are now patched for 4276. Thank you for watching.